Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? What's going on? A couple of house cleaning things. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you share this video. Make sure that you like this video. And make sure that you leave a comment in this video. Make sure you talk to me nice. Also, right below in the description, you will see my email if you have questions that you want to ask me, or if you want to book me. All you got to do is get into that email and I will respond back in a timely fashion, and we can take a look at seeing how I can address those questions, or if you'd like me to come and speak, I do that too. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. I want to go ahead and I want to talk about this subject. Very important. Love for her is unconditional. Love for him is under the condition. So let me repeat that. Love for her, unconditional. Love for him, under the condition. Or I should say conditions. Why is that? Well, I would say probably it started, no one can really pinpoint exactly when it started, but the noticeable change is when World War II came into effect. And when America jumped into the war, our men went out to fight. And prior to jumping into the war, the traditional household was the man would go out and work, and the woman would stay home and look after the house, the children, and take care of the husband. Once that all happened, the women started getting out. They started going out and they started getting involved in activities, getting involved in work, so on and so forth. So women got an opportunity to taste what it was like to be outside of the house. And the women liked that. And when the men came home, some of the women went back home, but there were some of the women that decided, hey, I don't want to stop doing this. And so you started to see the the two income households that took place, because the men went back and started working, and the women went back and the women stayed out there working, and there was this adjustment period. But the reason that I say that's the noticeable difference is because there started to become a domino effect. And the domino effect was the evolution of women. In fact, today's woman doesn't look at yesterday's woman in a positive manner, oftentimes. You hear things like, you hear women say, the reason that women were in the house and did what they did was because they didn't know any better. They didn't have any rights. They didn't have this, they didn't have that. But once they got access to these types of things, they didn't want to put up with the crap anymore. And we have to be careful how we talk about a history that factually has proven to work better than the current day model. It's like you have a team, and that team, let's say that team is a championship winning team, okay? And I know that you have to constantly look at ways to try to improve the team, but there is a time where you have all of the pieces in place and you have to ride it out for a little bit. See, change is good, but too much change and you could cause instability. And one of the teams that come to mind is the Lakers with LeBron James. They had a collection of people together on their team and a philosophy that was working for them. And even though you had players like LeBron James, Anthony Davis, who were the cornerstones of that team, what made the team so good is certain role players. So you had Caldwell Pope, you had Alex Caruso, you had Rajon Rondo, you had Dwight Howard, you had JaVale McGee. These are just some of the players that were on the team. And then I would even say there were more players too. But there was one player, I can't remember his name. He really didn't play a lot, but guy from Boston College, and he was a great presence and a voice in the locker room, and everybody liked him and respected him. And they won this championship. And then after they won the championship, management got cute, and management started releasing players and things of that nature, and broke up that chemistry of that team. Now we know that there was injuries that played a part. A lot of people don't want to own that don't like the Lakers, but they had injuries and things of that nature. And the following seasons, they barely made the playoffs and then missed the playoffs. Why? It was because something that was working should have run the course of seeing how long it could last. So that takes me to the Chicago Bulls. With the Chicago Bulls, management broke that team up too. Whether it was they didn't want to pay the players because they were getting old, doesn't matter how old the players were, they were effective in their wisdom and their execution. So while other teams may have been more athletic, they had a cohesiveness and a collectiveness, if you will, same thing. They had those things working for them, and so it basically made it so that that they could overcome by being 1, 2, and 3 steps ahead of you, and they knew how to win games. They knew how to win big games, and most importantly, they knew how to win the championship. So nobody will ever know what would have happened, but you have to definitely ride the wave as long as you can. So when we look at our marriages, it's very uncommon today for a marriage to work. But it was very common at one point in our community for us to work and last, have longevity, stay together. But we look at it as a sign of weakness because we're the microwave generation where if something's not working, we just want it to we just want to do away with it. We want to throw it away and we want to start all over again. And I want to be honest here. I want to be honest. And I'm not poking fun of anybody's marriage today. But which one is more likely? Is it more likely for a man and a woman to be married and there are no issues along the way versus a man and a woman being married and there are issues along the way? So, for an example, one of the big things is finances. So, if we lined up 100 couples and all 100 of these couples were somehow married for 20 years or more, how many of those couples would say that they had some financial problems at some point or juncture in their relationship? See, because we have these optical illusions about how marriage looks and works and the expectation thereof. But how many of them had financial challenges at some point in their marriage? Now, clearly, we're not talking about the people who broke up, but how many of them had those financial hurdles? Okay, now let's look at infidelity. Infidelity, where one person steps out of their marriage and have sex with someone else, right? Unbeknownst to the other person. Now, this one's tricky because, as you know, some people are just hell-bent on taking things to the grave. But my question to you is, if we lined up 100 couples that have been together for 20 or more years, how many of those couples at some point dealt with infidelity? And yes, infidelity doesn't necessarily has to be the actual encounter or the act. It could be emotional. That's key, right? So if somebody is emotionally involved with someone else, that can hurt just as bad, if not more. So how many people are in a situation where, how many of those 100 couples that have been together over 20 years, how many of those couples would you say would have at some point or juncture dealt with infidelity? How many of those couples have dealt with the loss of a parent? How many of those couples, whether it be to death or prison, have lost their child? So we have this idea that marriage is supposed to be this perfect, blissful, happily ever after, uh, Cinderella, Prince Charming type deal, but we never consider what happens after we get married. We just think about, especially when we're led by our emotions, we just think about the day of the wedding, having my day. If you're a woman, having your day, being the center of attention. See, women and men, they can cheat for different reasons, right? So a man can cheat and he can still love his wife. Doesn't make it right. But there have been instances where men have cheated and they very much so still love their wife. When a woman cheats, it's different than when a man cheats, because when a woman cheats, there's a lot of things that have to transpire and happen before she actually gets involved and cheats with someone. First of all, women, whether they're really attractive or not, can typically sleep with whoever they want. It can sleep with a man anytime that they want, because they control access to it. They control access to the act. Men don't control access to the act. They only they only can get what options they have available to them. This is why typically when a couple is together and they are poor, the man is more apropos to being more faithful, and the woman is more apropos to being less faithful. And on the flip side, on the opposite end of the spectrum, when women, when a woman and a man are together and they are financially secure, the man is more apropos to cheating, and the woman is more apropos to being faithful. There's no silver bullets, but I'm sure you can identify with what I'm saying. Yes, there are couples that when they're rich, they're both still committed. Yeah, there are couples that when they're poor, they're both still committed. And yeah, sometimes that thing is flipped upside down on its head. But the reality of the situation is a woman seeks security. And typically when a woman gets security, she doesn't feel any sense or need of trying to go anywhere else. And for a man, a man by nature likes variety. And so when a man by nature likes variety, he can't have variety unless he has the options of variety. Now, today's woman, she's typically looking for symbols. See, as in particular in our community, we don't have access to wealth like other communities. And so because we don't have access to wealth, the next best thing for us is symbols of wealth. Cars, jewelry, clothes, anything that brings attention and helps us shine. We value those things because in a lot of senses, we're the have-nots. Statistically, we're the have-nots. There are some of us that have, but statistically, we're the have-nots. Now, I'm going to bring this full circle for you because when we start looking at relationships, we have to understand that there are good days and there are bad days. There are mistakes and then there are successes. There are some things that people do knowingly, and then there are some things that people do unknowingly. Or there are things that people don't try to do but they get involved in. And then there are things that people there are things that people know is wrong, and then they draw their lines and their boundaries. But it's difficult for people because name a person that hasn't made a mistake in their life in some kind of capacity. So I don't think when people get married, I don't think that if they're going into it level-headed, I don't think they're going into it with an expiration date in mind. I'm going to be optimistic about that. I don't think that people go into a relationship and think about having financial problems. I don't think people go into a relationship and think about, being being unfaithful. I don't think any of those things happen. I just think that there are certain trials and tribulations that come that people succeed at and people fail at. And a lot of times when one of those things happen, whether it's typically the two main reasons is finances and infidelity, when those types of things happen, emotional decisions are made in spite of whatever is built. Now, when I say what's built, I'm not necessarily talking about the monetary things. I'm not talking about material things. But what I am speaking of is I'm speaking of what you guys have accomplished together, what you guys have established together. So it's tough. It's hard. And then the other thing that's hard is societal standards of what should go on in a relationship. So you've got other people involved in your relationship, where you have other people's standards of what a relationship is supposed to be. When you're supposed to find somebody that is matching your energy. And when I say match your energy, I'm talking about somebody that flows with you, especially when you're a guy. You got to find someone that you got to find a woman that flows with you. And you have to be honest about your energy and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do. You can't go into a relationship trying to use the model of society for what a relationship is supposed to be if that's going to be problematic for you. Now, most of the times, we go into relationships and we use the societal model for what a relationship is supposed to be and how it's supposed to function and operate. And then we start to get claustrophobic in our relationships. And then yet we are scared to communicate changes that we want to see or things that we desire or things that we want. And with our partners, we're supposed to be able to, it's nobody else's business, but we're supposed to be able to tell our partners what we're feeling, what we're dealing with, what we'd like to see, and what we would like to do, no matter what it is. And we have to do it with the tonality that can be best received by our partners. But society, probably since the 50s, has started moving towards the idea of what a marriage should be. So we formed a mindset that marriage should be happy wife, happy life. Men are supposed to take it. Men are supposed to accept it. Men are supposed to suffer, and the woman isn't supposed to suffer. Now, I want to ask you this question. How is it righteous that a man lives in a relationship where he is unhappy, and that's the price for his wife to be happy? He has to sacrifice all of the things that he wants to do. When she needs something or when she wants something, she gets it, or it's a problem if she doesn't get it. But if a man wants or needs something, it's trivialized, or it's poked at, or it's seen as a clinical diagnosis. Shouldn't a relationship between, whether it's business or personal, shouldn't a relationship be the type of relationship where the people that are involved get what they need, both make sacrifices for each other with some type of semblance of balance? But that's not the case. So like this title says, unconditional for women, under the condition for men. This is why. So now you're talking about why is it so bad for a man to ask for what he wants without the involvement of other people outside of the marriage, and that some type of resolution can be made within that marriage between the parties involved to seeing him get what he wants, to get what he needs. Real men don't sweat what they want, but real men need what they need. I've used this example before. If you have water and you have soda, you don't need soda, but you need water. You don't have water. Matter of fact, water's in both. It's just that soda is water with other additives. But at its purest form, a man needs water. And a need can become a want, but a want can't become a need. You may want soda, but you'll never be at a point where you need soda. Now you may need water. You need water. But if you don't get water, you're going to increase in your desire for water, and water is now a need and a want. Sometimes think back when you were a kid. If you had the choice and option of being able to drink something, you probably chose juice or something other than water. Why? Because it had taste and you wanted to tickle your taste buds. But when you're really, really thirsty and you really, really feel it, you move directly to water. And some of you will move towards cold water. So if you have your choice, even though room temperature water is better, you'll choose cold water because it's refreshing. Because typically if you are thirsty, you're hot. And so the additive effect is you're getting something that you need and it's cold. And so it does two things for you up here. When a man is in a relationship with a woman and he asks for something, in this society it's okay if he doesn't get what he needs, but he's expect to still perform his role as a husband, as a father. That's a regardless of the situation and regardless of the circumstances, that's what he's supposed to do. Now, men have accepted this, but what would a relationship look like if a woman accepted that too? That if she's not getting what she wants or she's not getting what she needs, that she still performs as a mother and a wife. Because that's actually a healthy balance. But you know what would actually happen in a relationship where a man's not getting what he needs and a woman's not getting what she needs, yet they are both performing what they're supposed to perform in the relationship regardless? The prior doesn't exist. So when a man is getting everything that he needs, if he's still unhappy, it's because it's him. And we have to be real with ourselves. Ladies, are we giving our husbands, you have to say this to yourself, are we giving the husband what he needs? Not what your opinions are, but just the simple fact. You know the inner workings of your man. You've been with him for as long as you've been with him. If you're married to him, you're supposed to have some semblance of knowing what he needs and what he likes and what he doesn't like. And are you pushing the right buttons or are you pushing the wrong buttons? Are you doing just enough to qualify, or are you going above and beyond and doing and laying it out there for your husband? Are you doing everything for him? Isn't it unfair that men are loved under the condition that they do what they are supposed to do in the sight of society or you, but it is a hall pass when as a woman you don't do what you're supposed to do for your husband? See, your husband wants something that he wants his belly full, and he wants his balls empty. And pardon me, but I said what I said. And when he needs that region emptied, and he's hearing a ton of excuses. I'm tired. I had a long day. Whatever the case may be. In this society, it's been made that that's okay. It's okay for you to do that because one of the hardest jobs in the world is to be a homemaker. And for some of those out there that are going out there and working and being a homemaker, well, there's even more sympathy and empathy for you. It's as if the wife and the mother's job is is hard and the husband's job is easy. And that's just simply not the case. They're both difficult. That's why marriage ain't for everybody. And you have to have a certain mindset. You have to, if you're going to thrive, if you're going to have an opportunity to thrive in marriage, you have to be a developed gentleman or a developed lady. I mean, a developed lady or a developed gentleman. You can't be male and female and jump into marriage because it takes huge sacrifices and it is a lot of accountability and responsibility. And anytime a person is in a marriage and they have an issue with being accountable, or they have a hard time being corrected, or whatever the case may be, that's not a person that needs to get married, no matter how much they feel for someone. Marriage is sacrifice. Marriage is, it's supposed to be, I'm doing this for you, not for me. Me doing this for you benefits me. Seeing you smile makes me smile. Seeing you get what you need gives me fulfillment. If making, if you're my wife and making me happy makes you miserable, we have a serious problem. If you are making, if making your partner happy, whether you're a woman, whether you're a woman or a man, if making your partner is making you unhappy and unfulfilled, and it makes you feel lesser than a person, or you have to compromise who you are or who you desire to be, then you got a serious problem. And it's only going to be a matter of time, because your marriage is a ticking time bomb and it's going to go off. And everybody wants to sit there and they want to give you these big words, and they want to give you these steps and this and that, and they want to do all of these things, or whatever the case may be. Marriage is about tuning in to your partner, anticipating as much as you can what they need, and feeling it being beneficial whenever you come through for your partner. All while doing those things keeps you on track for the vision of your marriage. See, because if as a man, if I have to appease my wife to the point that it takes me off of my vision, it takes me off of my purpose, that's a problem. See, because it's not as simple as she's a woman. I'll go out there and pick a woman and then I'll appease her and then everything will work out right. No, there are a lot of women that don't fit, that if I go out there and I try to appease them, it will take me completely off the rail. Now, I've been married twice. Okay, this is my second marriage. Here's what I will tell you about my first marriage. I spent so much time, effort, and energy putting into that marriage, and it took me off of the assignments that I had before me that I was supposed to do. And those assignments, when I was in college, was to go to school, make the best grades possible, all while being the best football player that I could for myself, and more importantly for my team, so that we could win, and that could triculate into a career on the next level where I would have had the opportunity to make millions and millions of dollars. Whereas people will work their whole life and may not make a million. All I had to do was focus in on my assignment. Now, listen, we all know things happen for a reason. But what we have to be honest about is sometimes we have opportunities and we allow distractions to come into our lives. I'm not here to say that my ex is a good person or a bad person. That's not what I'm going to do right here. What I am going to say is my ex wasn't a right fit. And it doesn't matter why she wasn't a right fit. And for the right person, she is the right fit. But for the wrong person, she's a bad fit. Same with me. For the right person, for the right type of person, I am the right fit. And then I can be and give and do what I'm supposed to do, and it all pushes itself towards the vision and the purpose of why we're here. Now, here's what I want you to think about and consider, okay? And I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I just want to just give you facts, right? Is each and every last person on this earth at some point going to die? Yes. The answer is yes. So let's take from an eating perspective. Let's say a person eats everything that they're supposed to eat and doesn't eat anything, doesn't put anything in their body that they're not supposed to put in their body. Okay? And let's call that person person A. Now let's take a person who doesn't eat, who doesn't care about what they eat and put in their body, right? Is the person that eats what they're supposed to eat and put in their body what they're supposed to put in their body, is this person going to be exempt from death? No. They're going to die. Now, is this person over here that eats crazy and puts anything in their body, is that person going to die? Yes. So they're both going to die. So what I don't want you to take away from that is, well, what's the point in doing right in my life? I just might as well do what I want to do. Let me just help you understand this about your life and my life. Life here on earth is pointless. But the assignment for the lives that we have, the assignment that we were put here for, is purposeful. Do you get the difference? Do you get the difference? Living for yourself is pointless, but living and ministering to others is important. It's purposeful. And there's a difference. That's why if you try to hold on to your life, you're going to lose it. But if you stop holding on to your life and you just live, you're going to gain it. Because in actuality, the shell that we're in, there's going to come a time where the energy that resides in the shell that we're in is going to leave. And no matter where you are, whether you're standing up or laying down, your body is going to fall. It will become cold, and it will start to decompose. Because you're made of dirt. So what you see is not who I am, and what you see in the mirror is not who you are. What's inside is who you are. And the assignment is the purpose of living. So so you say, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. Well, here is the problem with doing what you want to do. It cuts your time shorter than it has to be. So there is a semblance of, you have to take care of yourself, so you can maximize your time. But you also need to have a balance of enjoying your life so that you can actually live. Now, the thing about being too perfect is you will actually forget to live. But the thing about being too reckless is the life that you live will be cut short. It's called living a fast life. So when you're involved with a man or a woman, respectively, when you're involved with your partner, when you're involved with your wife, your husband, there has to be give and take. You do have to sacrifice. But if you're a man, you sacrifice, great. But as a woman, you got to sacrifice too. You got to give up some things for your partner. But you know what? You gain. And vice versa. Your partner has to give up for you. But it cannot be lopsided where it's a life of complete and utter sacrifice and no gain, and yet you don't have to, as a woman, do anything and you get to gain. There has to be cause and effect here. And society today has painted a type of lifestyle of what marriage should be as advantageous for a woman to get in and not so advantageous for a man to get in. It is no perks and no benefits for a man today to get married under what society says marriage should be. And you have guys out here that I'm not going to name that have made their bid in terms of saying, you know what? I'm not going to get married, but I want to have children. And you know what? I'm in a position where I can take care of children if I have children. And so whatever agreement that they sit there and work out with that woman is the agreement that they sit there and work out with that woman. And then you have other people that see something working and they get upset because it's working. Because they haven't tried it, they haven't thought about it. It's the misery loves company. But it's got to be a situation where all people that are involved are getting what they need. I'm not talking about wants. As a man, my main concern when it comes to my wife is I want to make sure that I'm providing her what she needs. But I don't stop there. I do my very best to try to provide her what she wants, under the condition that it doesn't take me off of my purpose. So if my wife wants to have quality time, if my wife needs quality time from me, I have to make sure that I give her quality time. Now, if my wife's idea of quality time is me being with her 10 to 15 hours a day, I cannot do that. And sometimes we get our needs and our wants mixed up. So if it persists and my wife says, well, I need 15 hours a day of quality time with you, and I don't give her that, I can't kill myself to give her that just so she can be happy and stay with me. That's an internal issue that she has, or she needs to be with somebody that can give her 10 to 15 hours a day. And I have to be willing to let that go, because I'll kill myself trying to give her something because she called a want a need. And it's about being in reality and seeing reality for what it is. I am not supposed to neglect my wife, but I have something that I need to do. But she should be so intertwined with me and my purpose that when I do what I'm supposed to do for my purpose, it fulfills her. So in actuality, me doing what I'm supposed to do in my purpose, it fulfills and it intertwines with what she needs and wants to see me doing. Let's say that my wife is, let's just say my wife is the type of person who likes receiving gifts, right? And let's say that I am an engineer and my job is demanding, and I've got a job where I'm an engineer, I make a lot of money or whatever the case may be. By me going out there and making a lot of money, now I have access to resources to be able to get her gifts. And if that's what her language is, then I'm doing that. But if my purpose doesn't but if my purpose as a man does not get me a lot of money, I shouldn't be with a person. Well, I can't say I can't be with a person that doesn't that likes to receive gifts. But if the types of gifts that I give, they might be thoughtful gifts, they might be creative gifts, they might be gifts that doesn't cost a lot of money. If that doesn't fulfill that type of woman, then that's the wrong type of woman that I'm supposed to be with. And I don't believe that there's one man to every woman or one woman to every man. Because if that was the case, there would be the same number of men on earth as it is women on earth. And we know that that's lopsided. We know that there are more women than there are men. And I'm not going to get into that. But what I am going to say is, but there's categorically, there are areas that you should shop when you know who you are. So the key is to know who you are. Once you know who you are, you know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, then you know where to shop for a woman. You know, where you got to go to find that type of woman. If you are an unorganized person, you good, but you're an unorganized person, why would you marry a woman who's unorganized? And her being organized, it may get on your nerves sometimes. But you see the big picture and you know that being with her is good because you being organized helps you with your purpose better. You know? You may want to start a business, right? Let's just say you may want to start a heating and air conditioning business, right? And you are a hard worker. You'll have no problem solving the problem when you're on the site for whatever job it is. But let's just say you don't have the type of people skills or the sales skills to put yourself in a position to have a lot of customers. You just want to be a person that wake up, you see your schedule, you go do it, you come home. But you know what? That's just only part of it, right? And then you meet a woman who's the same way. See, the problem is you think that it's the commonalities that bring you together, but it's the differences that bring you together. Opposites attract. You can't go against the laws of nature. So if I'm that kind of person where I put my head down and I work, but I don't do the detail-oriented things and I don't do the marketing things or whatever the case may be, don't you think that if I focus on me and do my assignment and then I run across a woman and I have a natural connection with, and she sees what's going on with me in my life, she's trying to lean in and she sees what's going on with me in my life, and she says to herself, I have a BA in marketing, or I have a master's degree in business administration, or this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. All this guy needs is he needs some organization. He needs some phone calls to be made for him. Man, if we just get together, I can make him. We could become a great team. I could work in his office, and then she says to you, hey, listen, I noticed that you have a heating and air conditioning business, but I would like to, I think I can help you out. Really? How can you help me out? Well, you're a great worker and you do great work. Yeah, I do great work. You just need to get in front of more customers. Yeah, just don't know how to do that. But I know how to do that. Really? Yeah, I'll make. Look, if you allow me to, I'll come to the office. I'll make some calls and I'll set you up appointments. I can be, I can do some clerical work. I can do some administrative work for you. And then she gets in there, and lo and behold, she done got you more money, more business. She done got you more business opportunities. And then all you do is every day you start coming into work, you got a full slate schedule. You wake up early in the morning and you ready to go, and then you working into the wee hour, till late at night, and you doing all of that, and then next thing you know, your income is doubled, your income is tripled, your income is quadrupled, and now you got money. And she says to you, you know what? I see that you're making a lot of money now and everything like that, and I don't want us to spend it. But what I want to do is I just kind of want to duplicate. Do you think that you could get in there and teach other people how to do heating and air conditioning like you? And you say, yeah, I could do that. They could just do ride-alongs with me. Great. Let's start. Let's hire a person. And then you go out there and you guys hire a person. And then next thing you know, you got one person and they go out there and then you teach them how to do it just the way you want it done. And then you watch them, monitor them, you see that they do it. You start to take your hands off. And next thing you know, your business has gone 5, 6, 7, 8 times what it is. Next thing you know, she say, you know what? We're getting so much business. We need to hire another person. Same thing, rinse and repeat. And she say, we need to hire some more people. Man, now we need about 6 people in here. And now when we get 6 people in here, I just want you to sit back and I just want you to just manage them. And then you'll look up and then you're making more money, but you're working less. See, even when you go to a fast food chain restaurant, the hardest workers are the lowest paid people. As you move up in management, the responsibilities become greater, but the workload becomes less. And that's how the systems work. But now she's got you with 6 people working for your heating and air conditioning company. And then now you're not doing any work. Now your next move is, you know what? We need a south side location. So you guys start looking for office space. And then you start going through the process and hiring people. Next thing you know, you got you have 2 locations. And you have 4 locations. Then you have 8 locations. And then if you guys really, really work together, now you're building something together. Now you got locations all in the state. If you want, you have locations all in the region. Next thing you know, you got locations all in the nation. Maybe you got locations internationally, other countries, so on and so forth. And then she says to you, you know what? I really wanted to get involved into some real estate. Well, she helped you build this much, right? So you say, okay, well, we can use the money that we're making from our business and we can go ahead and we can do that. Next thing you know, she starts a real estate company. And then next thing you know, she starts to build that thing out too. And then next thing you know, she's like, okay, next thing you know, you're on to another assignment. And then it's always something new and exciting. And then you basically have the HVAC company, and it's self-sufficient. You've got management in place for checks and balances, so you don't even have to touch it. All you have to do is collect. That's the point of a man staying in his purpose and being linked with a woman who will help magnify you. Because a woman can either build you up or tear you down. She just doesn't sit idle. Even when she's sitting idle in a relationship, she's either building you up or she's tearing you down. Even if she doesn't help you in the relationship with the finances or whatever the case may be, she may be helping you by bringing children into the world who are your investments, your seeds, and raising them to grow up and be strong men and women. See, a woman has a beautiful place. It's a beautiful and a powerful, powerful place. And I oftentimes like to use chess. The most powerful, the most mobile, moving piece is the queen. She can go all the way across the board. Straight, back, left, right, diagonal. And no other piece can do that. If I believe the castle can go all the way one way and back, okay, The knight can go three three places in one direction and then to the left or the right. The pawn can move one space. Now the king can move in any direction, but the king can only move in one place. And I like to visualize, why is that? Because the king has so much weight on him. But the truest role for a queen is to have the freedom to move. And her king is supposed to trust the way she's moving. And some of these ladies out here can't be queens because they're not moving like queens. Queens move responsibly, and queens make only moves that is taking into consideration her king and her kingdom. If she's not doing that, she's an unworthy queen and should be stripped of her crown. And if a king isn't doing his role, then his kingdom will fall. So I don't like unconditional, not on any side. I don't like that women get in relationships and have the anticipation, the expectation that you're going to love me unconditionally, right? I don't like that. The way that it's going to be just is that there are conditions. If I sign a contract, if I sign a contract to do something, I am agreeing to the terms and the conditions of the contract. Whether I read that contract or not, my signature says that I read it and that I understood it. That is not the person who gives me the contract responsibility to make me understand what I'm signing. I have to be cognizant in the fact that I know what I'm signing, and if their signature goes on the contract and they created that contract, they should know also too. So let me give you a nice example. All right. Let's say I signed a contract for $100 million. And let's just say $50 million is guaranteed. Okay. That means that the entity in which I signed guarantees me that they will pay me $50 million, whether certain things happen to me or not. But they can also have conduct clauses in there. Okay. It may be it may have something in there like, don't use drugs, don't use recreational drugs. It may have things that say, in the off season, don't go skydiving, don't do anything dangerous, right? And considerably so, because I'm an investment for them. Because if I play, I perform well, or whatever the case may be, they win games, they make more money, they have more people come in, they sell more merchandise, so on and so forth. The person that gives me the contract is going to make way more money than I do. But the idea is, you're getting something out of this deal and I'm getting something out of this deal too. Now, if that contract is guaranteed $50 million, but it's a $100 million contract, it will also state in the contract the things that I have to do to get my $100 million. And that may be clauses in there talking about availability, clauses in there talking about a certain number of games that I'm playing. There may be some milestone markers in what I'm supposed to be doing. I may have to average a certain amount of this, or I may have to have this many minutes that I play, this many catches, this many this percentage of whatever the case may be. And that's how I get the money. And that's how I get the money. Now, if when that contract is underway, whatever the period of time for the contract is, like marriage, which is supposed to be a lifetime. If I sign up to if I sign up to do the things that I say I'm going to do in the contract, no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on, no matter what the circumstances are, I am responsible for doing what I said I was signing up to do. And marriage is no different. This is why I am against the unconditional point. Because what unconditional does is it makes one lazy. You know, a woman is sitting there and she's saying to herself, you know what? I want to get married. So I know in order for me to be married, I'm going to have to do some things to make myself most appealing. Okay, because men are visual creatures. And then once I make myself appealing, then I have to market myself or posture myself and put myself in a position so whom I want to see me, I am in their sight line. So if I want, you know, if I live in a poor area and I want a man who makes a certain amount of money, then I'm going to have to posture myself so that I can be in the areas where these men that make the kind of money that I want are in. You know, not to knock a city, but I can't be in Mississippi as a if you're a woman, you can't be in Mississippi and expect to have a lot of men to choose from that are making X amount of dollars, because Mississippi has a standard of living and then they have a median income for the residents that live in Mississippi. This is where you got to get out of your feelings and you got to start matching your perspective with reality. So what you do is you say, all right, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out this many hours a day, this many times a week. I'm going to make sure I eat the foods that I'm supposed to eat. I'm going to make sure that I take care of my skin. I'm going to make sure that my nails done. I'm going to make sure that my hair's done. I'm going to make sure that my skin is straight, this, that, and the other. Ooh, this, that, blah, 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 blah. Right? So now you're like that. You find this guy. You like this guy. He checks a lot of the boxes that you're looking for, right? He tall, dark, handsome, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. You have to take into consideration what he needs. See, the problem today is a lot of our women don't consider what a man needs. She thinks that she is the bag, that she is the table. You hear women saying it a lot. How could you fumble this bag? It's just like, no, sweetheart. A man has to do something and a woman has to do something too. And you're foolish for thinking that you don't have to do anything except sit and look pretty. That is not how it works. See, it's a curse to be beautiful, because you can get a man, but your beauty isn't going to keep a man. It's what you do and what you bring that's going to determine if you can hold on to a man. Because there have been men, including myself, that have been with very, very gorgeous women. And once I get with the gorgeous woman, she stops doing what she is supposed to do. And maybe that's me. Maybe she's not motivated for me. Or maybe she's not, or vice versa. Whatever it is, a woman that wants to be with a man will do what she needs to do to be with a man. And if it doesn't compromise who she is, she'll do it. So fellas, if you're with a woman and you got to beg her to do the things that she's supposed to do, probably because you don't motivate her enough to do it. And then don't get mad if she goes with and be with somebody else and she does all of the things that you wanted her to do with you for that other person. Don't take it personal. Everybody's not going to be motivated for you. Be with somebody that's motivated for you, and be with somebody that you're motivated for. I love my wife. I've been with my wife for a long time. I'm still motivated for my wife. My wife is still motivated for me. I pray it always stay that way. Nobody knows the future. But if my wife is not motivated for me, I don't want her to labor to do something for me and it makes her miserable. She got to know it's the same way for me as well. Anyway, so as I was saying, when a woman finds that man that checks the boxes that she likes, or whatever the case may be, she needs to know what he needs, be willing to give him what he needs under the conditions that she's getting what she needs. Not a you go first, you go first. No, you have to make a covenant with each other, and a covenant is what you stand on regardless. But while you're involved with each other, you give what you're supposed to give. When you decide that you're not going to give any more to this person, don't stay with them. Leave them. So here we are. Now we're looking at the fact that you guys are now married, okay? So you wanted to get married ever since you were playing with your Barbie doll, your Barbie and Ken dolls. You always had this idea of being married, and now you get an opportunity to be married. So now what? Well, you keep doing what got you to the place of getting married, and you get better, and you find a way to expand even more and work smarter. See, because, yes, in the beginning you can hustle while you got the muscle, but as you get older, you're going to break down and you're going to get more tired. So it's important to build something, and it's important to find out how you build what you build to make it and create some self-sufficiency, some autonomousness, if you will. Get things going in autopilot. Just like I say about a job, nothing wrong with a job. But if the job is an end-all, be-all for you, you're going to burn out, you're going to break down. And either you're going to recognize that and you're going to have to step away from that, or the company that you work for is going to recognize that and they're going to replace you. It's just the way that it is. You can't have a I'm going to work until I die mentality, because you don't know the conditions and the circumstances that you're going to be in, and if you're going to be able to perform what you need to perform. It's the same thing in marriage. There are things that might come easy to you when you are involved in a marriage in the beginning that might be a challenge for you later. So you have to own that, and you have to start quickly trying to take the things that you do in your marriage and try to find some semblance of getting things into as many things as you possibly can into some sincere autopilot nature. And money being one of them. And use your imagination from there. If you're in a marriage, what were your vows? What did the partner say that they were going to do to you? Where are those vows? Go find them. Hold the person that you married accountable to what they vowed to do for you. Some of you are sitting waiting for an opportunity like loss of finances or infidelity to happen. And some of you are baiting the other person to go do it, so you can justify why you're walking away from marriage. No, I'm not for walking away from marriage. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it is a contractual problem when the person said that they were going to do something, because their vows is the contract to you, the covenant to you. So if they said that they would love you, honor you, cherish you in sickness and in health, rich or for poor, to death do you part, and they're not doing that, it is nothing wrong with you calling them out on it and say, you know what? You said that you was going to love me for rich or for poor. Yes, we're going through a financial hardship, but you said that you would ride with me if we went through that. I ain't never say that. Yes, you did. You agreed that when we got married, you said for richer or for poor. Now, I know it's tough and it's not fun to hang in there with me, but I expect you to honor your vow. Because if you don't do that, if you stop doing what you're supposed to do while married to me, that's a breach of contract. Do you know what happens if, like I gave you an example for the 50 million, do you know what happens if if there's a conduct clause in my contract and I violate the conduct clause? Not only am I not going to have a chance to get that 100 million, I am not getting any more money. And in some cases, I may have to pay back money. Think about Michael Vick. Remember Michael Vick? He signed that $100 million contract. And do you know that because of his conduct, he had to pay that back? Mm-hmm. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. Just because you get in what you want, ladies, doesn't mean that you can relax on your laurels. You got to work just as hard, if not harder. Because the same things that you did to get that man is the same things you got to do to keep that man. And sometimes you got to take it a step further. You were nasty when y'all first met. You were nasty when y'all first met. It wasn't a time or a place where it couldn't be popping. Now you're married. Don't touch me. I don't want to. I'm so tired. Don't you know I had a long day? Stop, move. And then yet and still you expect him to remain unconditional about stepping out of bounds and going out there and being with another woman. And then you'll sell the narrative. He cheated on me. How could you cheat on me? How could you fumble this bag? There was this woman that I ain't going to say her name, but there is this woman that I personally know, right? She is gorgeous, married with children. Her husband kept cheating on her. And everybody was like, why in the world would he want to cheat on her? But all anybody would get is her side of the story. Because if he talked, it was slander. Now, when he finally did talk, and we asked, why in the world would you cheat on your wife? She is gorgeous. Like, what are you doing? And he said, look, you're right. She is gorgeous. She's very attractive, all of that other stuff like that. But guess what? What? She hardly want to sleep with me. So we're trying to figure out, well, why didn't she want to sleep with you? When did it start? It's like shortly after we got married. She said, well, I was going through changes. But listen, you said that you was going to do, if you weren't doing, if you were withholding intercourse from him, if you were withholding that from him before y'all got married, do you think he would have married you? So you really did a bang up job when it came to being a salesman. You sold something that you weren't trying to give. Yeah, I mean, but God, man, every time I look up, he wanted. Okay, do you understand whether it's, and I know it's not right, but do you understand why he keep cheating on you? Well, he gonna cheat anyway. Well, was he cheating on you when y'all were boyfriend and girlfriend? No. Did he cheat on you when you first got married? No. Well, there's a cause and effect to everything. He is out there having intercourse with some other woman because he is getting denied at home. Ladies, you have to understand that. When you sign up to do the job, you have to do the job, whether you feel like it or not. And most of the time, you are finagling and lying on a resume to get a position that you cannot fulfill. And marriage is a big position. And to be the one and only, to be the person, the end all be all, that is a difficult ask. But yet, you're not thinking about what you're asking for. You just get involved with it. This is one of the things that helped in my first marriage. I sat down with my ex and I said the same thing, and I was in my early 20s. And I said, look, there might be things that I'm not doing, but it's not from a lack of trying. And at the time, I couldn't hold a job. But I was never set back not trying to work. I was always looking for jobs when I wasn't having jobs. I was trying. And she was getting tired of me even though I was trying. But yet and still, on the flip side, I said, you said that you were going to do A, B, and C when we got married. And you're not doing those things. And then when she sobered up to reality, she said to me, she said, you know what? Had I known what it took to be married, I would have never got married. Now, when I divorced her, to this day, she has never been married again. And that's not an indictment on her personality. I'm not here to say either or. I'm not here to slander. That's not an indictment on her appearance or anything. That is, if she held true to understanding what marriage was and she came to the conclusion that she couldn't do that, that was a great decision moving forward for her. And that's what I'm trying to say to you guys about this unconditional, conditional crap. If you love someone, you need to understand what it takes for them to be with them and to obtain and keep them. What adjustments and pivots you make in your marriage ain't nobody's business. It really ain't. That's what I don't like about with Will and Jada. Jada makes it everybody's business what they do in their marriage. And you know what? What they did in private was working for them until they made it public. Because everybody's going to have influence and opinion and this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. And you might go into it strong and say, yeah, but I ain't listening to nobody, whatever the case may be. No, everybody's going to have something that they're going to say. And you know what? It's like a little seed. It might not grow right now, but it'll grow later. And that's what I'm trying to say to all of you out there that's listening, is that you need to know what you're signing up for, and then it is nobody's business how you conduct what you're doing, as long as you're happy and as long as your partner happy, or however the dynamic of your relationship is, as long as you are getting what you need out of the marriage and they are getting what they need out of the marriage, it will be beneficial for both of you to stay in marriage. Now, if it comes to the time where you grow apart and whatever the case may be, you still don't have to be a bully to each other. You can amicably leave each other. But if you concentrate every day on how you grow together, I use the tomato tree, the tomato plant. You can't grow a tomato plant without something that it can grow on, meaning like a pole or a 2x4 or something like that. Because the weight of the tomatoes are going to touch the ground. And that's where insects and rodents and things of that nature can get in and destroy what you're trying to grow. Because you're not growing a tomato bush because you don't want to, because for fun. You're growing them because you want to eat them. So if you want to make sure that you can have the fruits for yourself of your marriage that you can eat, then you got to protect it from what you have to protect it from. And you have to know what you're trying to protect it from, so you can have strategies on what you need to do to be able to prevent them or minimize them from doing from attacking your fruit. Some of you get married and you just throw seeds out there into your garden of love and you just think it's supposed to just sprout up. Man, you already have a base of dicots and monocots. You have weeds growing everywhere already. And when it rains, after a good rain, it gets worse. You got to go in there and you got to tend to your field. It ain't fun. But you know what? If you want to have a beautiful botanical garden of marriage, you're going to have to make sure that you are in your garden with regularity, managing, removing weeds, removing the things that you don't want there, and promoting the things that you do want there. And it's a constant evaluation. It's a constant check. So I'm telling you, let's stop. I'm telling you right now, if you're in marriage right now, listen, I'm not, for the sake of the numbers, I'm not saying that, hey, you married to the person you married to, man, stick with them until you die. You need to find out, if you're a man, you need to find out how can this person help you with your vision. Your life is pointless, but assignment is pointful. And that's the most important thing to every single man in this world is his purpose. And a real woman that's down with you and vibing with you, she ain't got no problem with your purpose. You just got to find somebody that fits your purpose, fellas. And if the person that you ain't with don't fit your purpose, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to keep going days and days and days and days and weeks and months and years and years and years. And you're going to waste time. And I know, fellas, you ain't got no biological clock, but you do got a clock. And nobody knows when your clock is going to stop ticking. So you can't afford it. You need to be getting to your purpose. And then you need to make sure that when you want to get to your purpose, and then you want to enjoy the fruits of your purpose. Because there's going to be a time to enjoy. But some people, they procrastinate, and they either get to the door of their purpose but don't get to go in, and somebody else got to take it along, to take the baton, or they never get to their purpose. Or they get so distracted, those that come behind them, once you're gone, are lost. And now you done not only made your life wasteful, you made the lives that those that came behind you wasteful. Like, I have children. I'm making my children understand. Life isn't about what kind of role you play or whatever the case may be. You just need to be, as a woman, you need to be freed up to do the desires of your heart. And the only way you're going to be freed up to do the desires of your heart is you're going to have to make sure you know who you are. And once you know who you are, in what lane you need to get in, and what you need to make yourself available to. Because you can't expect to dig in the trash and find something clean. Because all you're going to find in trash is garbage. And you got this whole perception that men ain't nothing. But you keep looking for men in the places that you keep looking for men in. Men are broke. Well, you live in Kansas, and you need to get out of Kansas. I'm not saying you got to get out of Kansas permanent, but you're looking for men in Kansas. All of the men in Kansas, it's not like men in LA. It's not like men in New York. It's not like men in Dubai. It's not like those things. So you need to try to figure out how you can get to those places instead of scheming and conniving to get to those places. Fly me out. A man shouldn't have to fly you out, baby. You're supposed to be able to fly yourself out. All of your experiences, did they come from you or did they come from someone else's doing? So, I want to close out. I mean, I didn't want to, but we got to. And I'm just telling you right now, these are my final thoughts. Make it a point today. Sit down with your spouse and make it an even, come to the table and say, listen, in this marriage, moving forward, it will be fair. And what that means is, even if we got to sit down and we got to think about what it is that we need out of this marriage, you need to sit down and write down what you need. Let's take a week. I want you to sit down, write down the things that you feel like you absolutely need. Okay? We ain't gonna deal with the want stuff. Okay? Break it down. Do you need this? Okay. Make sure when you ask for it, whatever it is that you're not willing to compromise is what you need, is what's called the need. What you are willing to compromise, you need to highlight that and say that is a want category. That means I can compromise that or whatever, or I can do away with it. And you write your list and she writes her list, and be serious about it and say, listen, because I want to make sure that moving forward, that you and I both have the best possible life that we can have together. But it can't be one person gets what they need under the conditions that blah 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 blah, and the other person gets to get what they need or want unconditionally. It's not going. We're gonna drop unconditional from our relationship, because if you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, it's a breach of contract. That means the whole contract's gone, and vice versa. And we need to be that serious about what we're committed to do. So renew those vows to each other. I don't care if things are going great. You need to make sure from your partner, am I giving you what you need? Is there anything that I'm not giving you that you need that I'm not giving you? And then if they say, no matter what they say, you got to really work hard to work on that. Because if that's your partner and you want to be with that partner, then you should see to it that they get what they need. All with the duality and the balance of, does this take you off of your assignment for your purpose? And that can be your argument, fellas. Listen, I want to do this for you, but if I do that for you, it's going to cause a problem with my purpose. And here's why. And you got to be willing to justify with evidence of how that would take you away from you doing what you got to do. You know, I miss the times when we would do movie night and this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. Okay. It ain't gonna kill you to do movie night. You pick a day out of the week, you put it on your schedule, and you just don't let anything get in the way of that. And you do movie night. If it's Friday, if it's Saturday, if it's Tuesday, whatever day it is, whatever day that you decide, that's what you do. And then that's what you stick to. And you don't let anything get in the way. Yeah, my boys called, so can we do that tomorrow? Show her that you're committed to her by making sure that you don't let anything except a few things. I'm talking about like if it's death or something like that, that's fine. That's understandable. But I'm telling you right now, there needs to be a very, very small list of things that can stop you from doing what you committed to do to your partner. Ladies, if your partner say, if your man say, hey, look, you know, I like before I leave in the morning, you know, I like to be able to do what I... Guess what, ladies? You need to do that for him. Because if he is satisfied in that way, okay, if he is satisfied in that way when he goes off, he's less likely to be tempted. I'm not saying he's not going to be tempted, but he's less likely to be tempted. And fellas, you know what I mean. When a woman comes on to you, single or not, and when a woman comes on to you and you're hot and bothered, it's an extra challenge to overcome. Don't give your man obstacles to overcome. You're supposed to be in his life to make his life easier, just as he's supposed to be making your life easier. You sit down and you write down these things that you absolutely need. You give it careful thought and consideration. Don't do it at that moment. You have a come back together in 1 week, and you make sure at the time that it's supposed to be, this is going to be undivided attention, and we're going to figure out what it is that you need, what you willing, you know, what you're not willing to compromise, what you are willing to compromise, and what you're willing to just completely let go of, and you think that, okay, I'm being ridiculous. And then vice versa, he does the same thing. And then you start working towards that. This helps you grow together. This helps you grow together. And you constantly, it's like progress report. You check on it. Hey, listen, your list, my list, we put it in our rooms. We put it on each side of the bed, whatever it is. And then you get to look at that list and you get to glance at it and just be like, okay, am I doing those things? All right, yeah, I'm doing those things. Good. Because if you get it, see, it takes 21 days to create a habit, 42 days to create a lifestyle, And you may get into a habit or create a lifestyle of doing the things that you're supposed to do, but you still got to check to make sure you're doing them, because you don't, even doing them, you don't want to do them without thought and without being conscientious of it. Like if you know, you don't look, it's great. Congratulations, sir. When you wake up in the morning, your wife wakes you up in the morning and she takes care of your needs. But you don't want it to get to a point where it's just repetitive. It's just like, all right, come on, let's go. All right, come on, let's go. All right, come on, let's go. You want some, you want some enthusiasm in it too, don't you? Sometimes. Granted, there's gonna be times where it's just gonna be like, But I mean, you do want to do like, okay, I know I'm gonna do this morning, but I'm gonna do this morning. I'm gonna do that this morning. You know, I know I fixed some breakfast at the table downstairs. I'm gonna bring them breakfast in bed this morning. And you know what? You know, I know she likes to do movie night or whatever the case may be. This night, I'm gonna set up candles and everything like that, and I'm gonna massage her feet and do her hands or whatever the case may be before we get started. You got to be conscientious about what you're doing too, and that's what a progress report is for. So when you see that you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, ask yourself, am I just going through the motions when I'm doing it? Yeah, I'm just going through the motions doing. All right, not this time. I'm not going through the motions when I do this. I'm gonna add a little something to it. All right, so let's get out here and let's start having the type of relationships, the type of marriages, and this goes for any level of anything, right? Even business. But let's go out there and let's start having the type of relationships where we're honoring the vows, that the covenant, the vows, and the things that contractually we said that we would do. Let's make sure that we're doing our part on those things. And if those things are things that we don't like, but we know that they're beneficial for everybody involved, then we got to learn to like those things. But if you do it, you try it, and it just doesn't work, then tell your partner, I'm trying and it's just not working for me. But you got to be willing to lose the relationship for something that your partner needs that you're not willing to do. And ask yourself, is it worth that? And ladies, it's even worse for you, because if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you got a biological clock. And even if you finish having children, I'm just telling you this right now, there's this lie that's going around that they're just stepdaddies galore, that they just ready to just take care of your kids. No, ladies, don't be fooled. Men are not signing. Listen, your children that you had before you met us, we can love them because they're part of you. But let me just tell you straight up, your children that you have are your investments. They're not the stepdaddy's investments. He may take care of them. He may do this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. But you know, if something happened between the two of you, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to have the same access to those children, and he can't go into a courtroom and do that. So I'm just telling you, ladies, you got to be very, very careful who you lay with and have children with. You need to have these things worked out and ironed out. So if you're listening to me and you don't have any children, you need to make sure that you need to have an in-game strategy, and you need to have an exit strategy too. Okay, I know you don't want to talk about breaking up, but you got to have an exit strategy with that man or that woman to say, hey, listen, if things don't really, really work out between us, these are some of the things that I'm going to still want to have access and are important to me. Can we do that? All right? Shoot, get it in writing. Because I'm telling you right now, it's nothing like loving a child, being there for a child, wanting to be there for a child, and developing a relationship with a child, and it doesn't work out with you and mom, and then mom cuts you off like that. Now you got to deal with that heartbreak. Trust me, I've been there. Wanting to be in a child's life, committed to that child as a father figure, and then getting cut off. And then the child not liking you. That's possible too. Because they don't know all the details as to why you and your wife split, or you and your girlfriend split, however y'all had children. They don't know. They don't know. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to get one side of the story. And you're not going to be able to give your side of the story. I've never been able to give my stepchild that from my previous marriage. I never got an opportunity to talk to her. And she grown and still don't want to talk to me. Still drunk that Kool-Aid. All right. So we're going to close out right there. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that I said something to touch you. I, if you think that what I'm saying is worthwhile, share it. Leave a comment. That helps the algorithms. Like this video and subscribe to this channel because I'd love to have you around. I'd love for you to dialogue with me. I'd love to be able to get your feedback, and I'd love to be able to grow and develop a relationship, and you can be one of the first peoples to uh, to be there as this grows, because I have conversations with people all the time. I talk in so many different platforms about these types of things all the time. I've seen the impact or whatever the case may be. So join me in this impact. Join me in this impact. And of course, my email is thoughtofleandre@gmail.com, right below in the description. You can go ahead and you can email me there. Or if you know somebody that'd like to book me for me to speak on a certain topic or whatever the case may be that I am familiar at doing, then I'll be happy to help. Okay? All right, man, I love you guys. And we're growing together. We're learning. And just please be safe out there. Live consciously. And make sure, even though life can feel pointless, which it shows to be sometimes, always, always, always remember, just because life is pointless doesn't mean your purpose is pointless. Your purpose is pointful. Take care.